But if you close your eyes,
Hello awesome people, welcome to another type of video that I'm gonna try and do a little bit more often on my channel. This is a video about things that we can use to improve Civilization 6, or at least make it a little bit better. Now keep in mind, right off the bat, I'm not bashing on this game. I like this game, that's why I play it on my channel, but like every other game, there are things that can be improved, and most of the things that I actually will gonna suggest to make it better are just new things in the game. They're not like we should fix this, we should fix that. There are some of that, but most of the things that I'm gonna suggest is new because I think it will make the game even more engaging, and that's why I'm doing this video. So you can disagree with me, no need to worry. I mean, that's sort of inherent on these videos, which is not worrisome. I mean, that's okay. But please keep it civil in the comments. That's the only thing I'm asking. So, making a video about 5 things that would make Civilization 6 even better. Well, there's probably a lot of things that people can think of, but mostly those are fixes for some small things that need to be fixed, or are just annoying and can be fixed. But first off the bat, let's start with the game itself. So the game itself surrounds itself among these civilizations that you can choose from and that are your opponents. Now, in my opinion, we have a lot of civilizations right now because of the Rise and Fall expansion pack and all the other DLC that's coming up, but the base game didn't have as many civilizations as I would like to see, because it's so cool to have a lot of choices and a lot of different opponents to choose from. And this would be so cool. So the first point is, I mean, it's very obvious and very sort of, you don't have to really think about it, but it's still a valid point. I mean, more civs would mean more fun, to a certain extent. I mean, if you have over 100 civs, that wouldn't be as much fun. I mean, there is a sort of limit. I don't know where that limit should be, but I do think that more civs at this point would be more fun. So that's point number 1. Let's go to point number 2. This is a new game mechanic that I thought of. I call it events, but I thought of this idea before the Rise and Fall expansion pack sort of was announced. And these events, I mean, the Rise and Fall expansion pack has events, but the events I'm talking about are not the same. I'm talking about things like earthquakes, floods, good harvests. I mean, you can have positive or negative events, and they're mostly sort of natural events. So, for example, an earthquake, you could make something happen with an earthquake sort of begins, and for 5 turns, every tile that is in a certain range, like say a range of 10 tiles, or maybe 5 or something like that, every tile that is in that range will have no production, or will have limited production, or limited food, or whatever. Because there has been an earthquake and you need to rebuild stuff. So this is kind of random, and I know that some people will not like this. I think it would be very funny and very cool to have this in the game, but it should be an option. You should, as a player, should be able to turn this off or on once you're gonna play the game. Just like some other options like barbarians or no barbarians, or goody huts or no goody huts. I mean, it should be an option, and I think it would be very cool in the game. You could also have positive things like, well, there was such a good summer and such a good harvest, and now we have an abundance of food. So for the next 15 turns, your cities will grow faster, something like that. You can have positive or negative effects, and this is actually very, very important for the game, because older civilizations, if we're talking about civilizations standing the test of time, these were massive events for older civilizations. I mean, you can't count the amount of civilizations that have died off because of floods, because of earthquake, because of bad harvesting. Things like the pest, like sickness. That type of stuff is immense, and it has so many consequences on civilizations through the ages of time that I think it should be in the game. But you should think of it as a game mechanic, not as a realistic thing. But I think it would be very cool, and it should be in there. Like if you remember games like SimCity, you know, you could turn off disasters or you could turn it on. I think that it should be like that a little bit. I think it would be very cool. It would add something. Now, point number 3 should be, in my opinion, there should be little flavor scenarios for each little civs, and you could use this as a sort of a tutorial on how to play these civs, and you sort of get acquainted with what this civ's strong points are, what their weaknesses are, what their unique units do, what their unique buildings do. I think that would be very fun, and you could use it as a sort of a story mode, if you will. So, for instance, for the Netherlands, the Netherlands, through history, they were known for trading and colonialism. So, what you could do for the Netherlands is make a small scenario for, like, I think, you know, 50 turns and have as a goal to colonize as many different islands as you can, or to make as much money as you can by trading. I mean, that type of stuff. That would be very cool, and I think for every civ you can think of something that they're sort of unique for. And you can think of a little small scenario to get acquainted to the civ, use it as a sort of a tutorial mode for the civ, and of course you don't have to play this, but you can play it, and I think it would be very cool, but I think that then you should make it a bit more historically accurate, so that people will actually learn something about that civ. For instance, I know this about the Netherlands, I know this about most European countries, but for a lot of other countries, like the African countries, or let's for instance say the Mapuche, which come in the Rise and Fall expansion pack, I didn't know anything about them. I would like to learn about them, and it would be very cool if we could learn about them in the game, except for reading the Civilopedia, of course. So I think that would add something, and I think that the developers can use it as a sort of a small tutorial mode, so it would have some sense in there too. So that's very important, because you don't just add things for adding things, of course. Now, point number 4, and this is something that has been requested a few times, and with the with some DLC coming out, some updates coming out, they already sort of touched upon this, but I think that the religious system needs an overhaul. The religious system in Civ 6 can be very annoying, and I mean, through the sort of the time that the game has been released, it has been changed a little bit, and to be fair, it has been better right now than it was before, but I think that it still needs to change. And the reason for this is that if you don't go full-on religious mode, then you don't win a religious victory. And in my opinion, if you go full-on religious mode, and I know that this is my opinion, but a lot of other YouTubers have been complaining about this too, is that when you go full-on religious mode, you can't afford to do anything else. So you can't build up a good army. You can't really go for science or culture. You can do it a little bit, but at that point you need to be lucky in order to have other civs not going full religious mode, because at that point, when you find out that another civ has a stronger religion than you have, you're done for. I mean, you can't just turn around the game by going, oh, you know what, I'm gonna go science now. No, because you're backwards in everything except for religion, and if one person is better in religion, then you're done for. It's just a matter of time, and that's the biggest weakness in there. So my thing, you know, fixing this is very hard, and I get that the developers want this as a winning condition, because religion is very important and was very important throughout ages. So it is very important to have this in the game, but I think that at a certain point you have to sort of acknowledge that this doesn't really work, at least not in the system right now. So my opinion on this is that maybe we should change this. And make it not a victory condition, but making sure that you get better buffs than you get now from religion. I mean, some buffs are really good from religion, don't get me wrong. But there should be an incentive to go for religion even though it's not a victory condition. Because then you can have you can make it a very important part of the game, which the developers obviously want, and which is, in my opinion, is a good thing. But you can also have sort of the broken system of going for religion too much because you want that victory. You can have that sort of out of the game now, because you don't have to go for it to win the game, but it would make it better for you if you go for it, because you get certain buffs and you can be stronger in certain areas if you have a religion based upon certain things. So, I mean, I get that some people will not like this, and I get that some people will probably say, well, it's just because you hate religious victories and stuff like that. Yeah, I do. I'm gonna be honest there. I don't like them, but it's mostly because of the fact that they're so hard to get, and if you don't do it right off the bat, you are done for the rest of the game. So it's to me, it just feels like, okay, you try it and then you find out that there's something that someone has a stronger religion, and then you can just throw your game in the trash and just start over, because and that's not fun. You should be able, even though it's very hard, you should be able to sort of do something else to try and win the game if the first step doesn't succeed. And for me, you can do this with domination. You can, if domination doesn't work, you can go to something else. If science doesn't work, you can go to something else. Culture, same thing. But with religious victory, to me, it doesn't work. And that's making it hard to do. So, in my opinion, no victory condition on religion anymore, but make it so that it gives you very strong buffs. So it's still very important, and there's still a big incentive to go for a religion. Or to get a religion from someone else. And you should probably give bonuses to people that convert other civs to their religion, make the bonuses even bigger, so that there's an incentive to sort of get your religion and convert other people to that religion, but it's not a win condition anymore. So I think that would be the best solution for now, until they find a system where you can actually very smoothly implement this religious victory condition. Now, the last point that I'm going to talk about is game mechanics. Now, this is more of a thing that, for certain things that need to be fixed in my eyes. To start off with, the obvious thing that I've sort of been talking about, like a lot of my Civ series, is the news blur. I mean, and I know that I'm not the only one. I mean, a lot of people have been claiming that this news blur is annoying because you can't really see what's happening on the screen, and during the sort of the turn calculations, your screen goes up and down and you see that your units are being attacked, but there's news blur all over it, so you can't see exactly which unit or where it is attacked or by what it is attacked. This is very annoying. So this is very easily fixed too. I mean, the news blur was a cool idea, and it was to be the idea behind it was that news pops up right in your face and you see it and you go, oh, whoa, that's an important. But the thing is, most of that stuff isn't important for the game, or not highly important, at least. And the people that want to read it, they will search for it. So just make a little side panel where you can actually see that news, and you can actually search back for it. You can read it back, because that's what you want to do. And then get away with all the news blur right in the screen, so you can actually see what's happening on the sort of the board, if you will. And get that off to the side, get the news blur off to the side, because that's not really very important at that point. And if you want to read it, then of course you can, but you don't have to, you're not forced to see it, you're not forced to have it right then smack in your face, and you can't see anything else, because that's very, very annoying. And in my opinion, it's easily fixed, so let's go. Next thing, so also game mechanics, of course. There's a thing that at some point you need to sort of think about what is fun and what is not fun in the game. And let's have a few things. I'm gonna grab 2 things of game mechanics that in my eyes don't work for the game, but are sort of, I can't understand why the developers have done this. But I think they're sort of the pinpoints of little things that need to be changed in order to make the game a little bit more fun, or a little bit better. And the first thing is nukes. Now, nukes are fine in my eyes. They're fine. But the thing is, if you throw a nuke onto a city, the city gets obliterated. And it's a very common strategy to just throw a nuke on a city, get a fast-moving unit and run it in, take the city, and then everything around it dies because of the nuclear radiation, but you have the city. I mean, you have that city, and once you take the city, its health and its defense will go up halfway or something like that. So that's not really cool for the game, because you can really blitz opponents and they can't do anything about it. I mean, if you throw a nuke, all their units are dead around the city. The city is down to 0 health, 0 defense. You just run in and take the city. There's nothing you can do about it. So they can't defend themselves from it. And that's the thing that is not fun. And it makes it way too easy to take out AI opponents, because they don't really use this, and you can, of course. And that's sort of my problem with it. I get why they do it, because, you know, if you're honest, I mean, if you throw a nuke on a city, there's probably nobody left to defend the city. So you can just walk in and take the city. That's true. So it's in a sense, it's realistic. But for the game mechanics, it's not fun, because you can just run in the city and take the city, and just you can in Civ 6 you can even immediately raise it. So in one turn you can nuke a city, run a unit in, raise the city, and bam, the city is gone. Which is, I get why it can be realistic, but, well, the raising is not realistic, but the nuking and taking the city is probably realistic. But it's not fun. So I think they need to just put a stop on this. I think that if you throw a nuke on a city, it should do like half and half damage on the health and the defense. Killing the units is probably fine, because you still have to invest units in taking that city, and if you don't have enough units to take the city after you've nuked it, these units are gonna die, or at least take damage because of the nuclear radiation around the city. So you sort of have to pay a toll to take the city, and now the thing now is you throw a nuke and you sort of sacrifice one unit to take the city, and the city is yours. And that's not the way it's supposed to be. That's not fun. And another thing that I want to pinpoint out, and that has to do with that, is machine guns. Now, machine guns are problematic in my eyes, because machine guns are the upgrade for field cannons, and they're obviously better in types of stats. But if you look into game mechanics, they're not better, because they have 1 range, and field cannons and everything before that has 2 range. And 2 range is inherently better than 1 range. And it's a ranged unit, so you want range on this. Why is artillery better than like cannons? Because it has more range. That's why it's better. So in a sense, you make a unit stronger, but you also take out their most important skill, which is range. They have 1 range instead of 2, so in my eyes, field cannons are still better than machine guns, which is stat-wise not true, of course, but the range is so important for a ranged unit that you can't really do this. And I get that it's not very realistic to make a machine gun shoot as far as a cannon, but on the other hand, it sort of denies you from upgrading your units, because there's lots of people that don't upgrade their field cannons to machine guns because it's not worth it because of the range. And this is a problem, because again, it's probably realistic that machine guns don't fire as far as cannons, but then again, if you think about the crossbowmen, they fire 2 tiles. They have a range of 2. How come an arrow travels farther than a freaking machine gun bullet? I don't get that. So I don't know why the developers chose to make the machine guns 1 range. I think that it's a mistake. I think that they need to make it 2 range, and then it would be a very good unit on its own. I mean, that would be the good upgrade for a field cannon, because it's better stat wise and it has the same range, so it's good. It's good. You want to upgrade your field cannons then, but for now there's no real incentive to do this. And that's sort of what's breaking this unit. But you know, these types of things, you can think of a lot of examples for this. And you have to just always balance this between being sort of logical and realistic and being fun in the game. And fun is, in my eyes, a lot of the times more important. I mean, visuals and stuff like that can be realistic, but fun in the game, in the gameplay itself, is more important because people need to have fun, otherwise they don't play your game. And on that point, I mean, if Civ is really going, and I'm not saying that they're doing that, but if Civ is really doing sort of the realistic thing, then they need to overthink some things, because Civ is just not realistic. I mean, you can freaking throw a rocket somewhere, throw a nuclear bomb somewhere without discovering electricity, and that's just not realistic. I mean, then if you really want to go for a realistic game, which in my eyes they should not do, but still, if you want to do that, then you should fix that stuff up too. So yeah. Then again, this is sort of the end, because I'm done with these 5 things. Again, I'm gonna say that this is definitely not a rant about Civilization 6. I really love the game. I think it's very cool. It's very fun. That's why I play it on my channel. But I think that it can be better if you implement some new stuff. And these are just things that me personally would love to see in the game, because I think it would be very fun, or it would be a simple fix for something small to make it even better. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys enjoy. If you have any good ideas about what could make Civilization 6 better, then leave a comment. And if you like Civilization 6, then please take the time to watch the videos on my channel. I have a lot of series on Civilization 6 on my channel, and I hope that you even take the time to subscribe. As always, I've been Hipbone, you've been yourself. Thanks for being awesome, and thanks for watching.